Hey, what's up guys, welcome back. In this video, I'll explain you the concept of prefabs in Unity and how we can use prefabs for duplicating game objects. So, a prefab is an asset which contains a blueprint or template of game object or game object family. We create a prefab from an existing game object, and once created, we can use it multiple times inside a project. So we just have to create a prefab once and we can use it multiple times inside our scenes. Now, for explaining prefabs more clearly, I'll create a prefab of the sphere game object. So to create a prefab of the sphere game object, I'll first select the sphere game object and I'll drag the sphere game object inside the assets folder. So guys, I've created a prefab of this sphere game object, and as you can see, the name of this prefab is sphere.prefab. So guys, whenever you want to create a prefab of any of the game object, you just have to drag that game object inside the assets folder. Okay. Now after creating a prefab of the sphere, I'll right click inside the assets folder and I'll create a new folder. I'll give it a name of prefabs and I will drag the sphere prefab inside the prefabs folder, and after creating the sphere prefab, I'll delete this sphere game object. Now after deleting the sphere game object, next I will drag this prefab inside the hierarchy. So now as you can see, we now have this new sphere game object, okay, which is basically duplicated or which is basically created from this sphere prefab. I will again drag the sphere prefab inside the hierarchy to create another copy of the sphere game object. Okay, so now as you can see, we have this second sphere game object by the name of sphere1. Okay, and the sphere1 and the sphere both are at the same position of 3.59 along the y-axis. Okay, so I'll select the sphere1 game object and I'll move it out of the sphere game object. Next, I'll duplicate two more spheres from the prefab. Okay, I'll click on sphere 2 and the sphere 2 is again at the same position of 3.59, okay, which is the position of the sphere game object. So I'll select sphere 2 and I'll move it towards the left hand side of sphere. I'll select the sphere 3 and I'll move this again on the left hand side. And this time if I go inside the game panel, then as you can see, we now have 4 spheres over here. So guys, after creating these 4 spheres from the sphere prefab, I'll rename all the sphere game objects. Okay, so I'll give this first sphere game object a name of sphere 1. I'll give the second sphere, that is the sphere 1 game object, a name of sphere 2. I'll give the third one a name of sphere 3 and I'll give the last sphere a name of sphere 4. And after renaming the 4 spheres, next I'll change the material of this sphere prefab, and when I change the material of this sphere prefab, the materials of this 4 sphere game objects will also change, okay, as we have duplicated them from the sphere prefab. So with the sphere prefab selected, I'll go inside the inspector panel, okay, and inside the sphere prefab, I'll open this materials option, and inside the materials option we have this element 0 option which is currently set to sphere texture. So I'll click on this circle on the right hand side, and after this, instead of sphere texture, which is this texture over here, I'll change the material to default material. And as you can see, when I change the material of this prefab to default material, you can see over here the materials of all the 4 sphere game objects have changed. So guys, this is how we can use prefabs in Unity. Okay, so basically when you make changes in the prefab, those changes will be reflected across all the game objects which are duplicated from that particular prefab. So after showing you a simple example of prefab, next I'll again click on this circle on the right hand side and I'll again change the material to sphere texture. Okay, so guys, that's it from this video and I'll see you in the next video.